Today, we're going to be discussing how you can quit corn forever. Disclaimer before we start, you're not a bad person for watching corn. You're not going against God for watching corn. Give yourself grace. Give yourself compassion. Corn is one of the hardest things to overcome. Why? Because like any other addiction, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, you have to leave the house. You have to go and engage with someone. You have to walk somewhere, drive somewhere, go out of your zone of comfort to get that thing. With corn, you can access it anytime, any place, anywhere. Something to really understand is that your sexual energy is the most powerful, most pleasurable thing that we as men have. So the fact that you keep relapsing is normal. So give yourself grace. In this video today, we're going to be discussing the two fundamental foundations that are going to help you quit this for good. Now, before we get into this video, I want to discuss the fact that corn isn't the problem. It isn't the issue. Corn is just the coping strategy, the coping mechanism. If anything, at a time in your life, corn would have been there to help you, to soothe you, to distract you from something that felt so uncomfortable that you needed to escape. And over time, that corn has gone from keeping you safe to being at the detriment to you, to your spiritual essence, to your mental essence, emotional essence. So instead of demonizing corn, first and foremost, give it thanks, because at a time in your life, it would have kept you safe and would have been there to help you and support you. I'm going to draw a visual representation of your life until this point right now. And I'm going to draw it in the visualization of a skyscraper. So in a skyscraper, you have multiple floors, right? Great drawing again, Alex. Each floor and each level in a skyscraper is a period in your life. Let's say every 2 years. So 2 years there, 2 years there, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, right? And they build on top of each other. So 0 to 2, 2 to 4, etc., 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 all the way up, right? Now, these in green, these floors in green, these are programmed into your subconscious mind. So we're not aware, and I've mentioned in other videos before, your subconscious mind drives you towards 95% of your decisions, your actions, your beliefs, right? And then at the top, you have, in blue here, your conscious mind, right? Which makes up 5%. So coming back to corn and understanding corn, right? For me, as an example, you go through life, great, and then there might be 1 year or over a couple of years where something happens to us, right? Something that we don't consciously remember. So it might be loneliness, rejection, not feeling loved, could be shame, feeling unseen. You may have had a period in your life where this happened, right? I use myself as an example. In the past, I've struggled with corn, always going back to it, to the point where I actually studied it and did a master's degree in psychology, and my dissertation was actually on corn addiction. And there might have been a period where you wanted to distract yourself from these negative emotions, these negative feelings, right? And you didn't know how at the time you came to this. As I mentioned before, at that time, it would have helped you in that, it distracted you, it soothed you. It becomes, if anything ever comes up then in your life in these years moving forward, without you unconsciously knowing, if loneliness comes up, shame, feeling unseen, feeling unwanted, in these years afterwards, what happens? Your subconscious mind goes, okay, how do I escape this? How do I feel better again? How do I distract myself? Oh, I know, I can go back to this. Go back to corn, right? So this can happen in this year, in this year, in this year. Now, how does this relate to you in this moment right now? So in your conscious mind here, you're probably in a place now, because you're watching this video, where you want to quit corn, right? You've realized that it's having a negative effect on you. You don't feel great spiritually, emotionally. And what happens, an unconscious drive is pushing you towards corn, an unconscious drive. Consciously, in this moment, I never want to watch it again. You always find yourself going back to it, right? So for instance, this is you in this moment right now, in this top building block, and something comes up, loneliness, shame, as I mentioned before. Well, what happens? You feel, unconsciously, you feel, oh my God, I need to escape this. What happens? A fire alarm, let's say a fire alarm, because we're talking about skyscrapers, goes off on this level of your subconscious mind where it happened before, which triggers this level, this level, this level, this level, this level, this level, this conscious level here. And what happens then? Your unconscious mind kicks in. I need to escape this. What have I done before? What's worked before? I know. Let's send urges to corn, right? Then what happens? You go to corn. And then what happens after you go to corn, right? So corn isn't the bad thing in this whole scenario and situation. I know you might think it is, and people have told you it's the bad thing. It's not. What is the bad thing is how it makes you feel. Because we have an urge to watch it. And then after we've watched that, okay, how do we respond to that emotionally? In the conscious mind, it comes back, and all these feelings of shame, lack of self-worth, comes back to our conscious mind as a reflection. All porn is just a massive, massive mirror and teacher. Every time you go to porn, porn is a gift for you, because it's reflecting back potentially where you need to support yourself, right? Because then you have the urge, you watch it, big mirror, come back, you feel shame, lack of self-worth, etc., etc. Then what most people do, because they don't understand this, is that they ruminate in this shame, ruminate in this lack of self-worth. And what does that do? That creates a new layer to put on top of your unconscious mind, because this in a few years will become the unconscious mind here. Then you have multiple levels that are affected by these low vibrational energies, your shame, your lack of self-worth, etc., etc. So you're just building blocks, right, of this. And what happens then? Then of course, in the future, if you do feel loneliness, shame, lack of self-worth, the alarm bell goes off on this floor, and it'll go off on this floor, and it'll trigger your conscious mind here, right? And then what happens? You go to the porn, you come back, you feel shame, and it just keeps on compounding and compounding and compounding and compounding, right? And he's actually giving you a mirror to say, okay, well, what part of me has triggered that? What part of me felt that when I was younger, right? Okay, and then you can go back to that version of yourself, that part of yourself, and be aware of that part of yourself, and then heal this part of yourself. So people think that the issue with stopping porn is all in the conscious mind. It's the willpower, it's discipline, it's motivation, etc., etc. But these are all just surface level ways that have 5% control over your reality. I've said in other videos with the conscious and subconscious mind, 95% versus the power of 5%. I know which one's going to win all the time. So even if you have the willpower, the discipline, the motivation, guess what? After a few months, whatever it might be, few weeks, few days, you're going to go back to this. And you're going to get that mirror back, and you're going to ignore it. And you're going to ruminate in the shame, the lack of self-worth, etc. Then you're going to go back to the willpower, discipline, and it builds and builds and builds, and you're just building blocks of shame, of negativity that will affect you and push you towards corn when you feel loneliness, when you feel shame, when you feel rejection, feeling unseen. So if you're trying to fight corn at the conscious level only, at the top floor only, then you're fighting a losing battle. It's like having a fire on the 6th floor here and throwing water on the top floor here, trying to put this fire out. It's never going to work. You have to go down the levels and put the fire out. And what I mean by put the fire out is give the love of your awareness, acceptance, compassion to that version of you back in the day that did feel loneliness, shame, rejection, feeling unseen. So when that version of you does come up and you do get that urge to watch corn, sit with yourself. So what part of me in the past needed that love, that attention, that compassion to overcome these feelings here? So what are the two main themes and two foundations that can help you quit this forever? First and foremost, you have to have a why for quitting. The why needs to be more powerful than the urge. If you're married, it might be, I don't feel right doing this, when I have a partner. If you've got children, say, would they be proud of their dad, watching corn? It might be the fact that it's affecting your confidence and your confidence is plummeting. It might be the fact that it keeps you in negative emotions and disconnected. You have to find a strong enough why. Okay, number two. Actually, there's going to be three, right? So number two, you have to look at the unconscious driver. As I mentioned before, what part of you was feeling these emotions originally that drove you to corn and has now become the safety mechanism every time you feel these emotions, right? What part of you is still driving you towards corn because in the past corn has made you feel safe? When an urge to watch corn comes up, sit with the urge. Where's this urge coming from? Journal on that urge. You have to understand your unconscious drivers to be able to change your conscious reality. If you understand your unconscious drivers in the conscious mind, along with your why, these two combined, it's going to help you stop this. And the third and final point, again, I said two, but there's one more point here, and it's love. Give love for yourself. Give yourself compassion. If you relapse, give yourself grace. Also giving love to corn, to what corn provided for you. Give thanks to corn. Send love to corn, because at a time corn helped you. And it might be hard for you to really feel into that. And you've been told that you're bad for watching it, or whatever it might be, whatever narrative you might have in your mind, flip that and give it love. The more you resist, the more this persists. Continuing on the theme of love for self. So what happens when you relapse? When you watch corn, right, and you have these feelings of shame, lack of self-worth, etc., what happens? That affects your emotions, your thoughts and your energy, and you end up going on a road that takes you well away from where you want to go, right? From where you want to be. So next time you do relapse, give yourself grace. Instead of feeling shame, lack of self-worth, never again am I going to watch it, etc., try understand it. Try understand how you're feeling. Give yourself love, give yourself compassion, because you recognize now and you understand, consciously you don't want to do it, but you've got an unconscious driver that is making you do it. 95% of your actions are programmed and pushed by that, right? So then coming back to this example, if you're ruminating the shame, lack of self-worth, etc., it just takes you on a road towards this happening again. More relapse. Our reality is all programmed by our emotions, energy and thoughts. We're an antenna, right? So what can you do? When this happens, have compassion, have self-love, have understanding, right? And what does this do? It affects your emotions, your energy and your thoughts, and you come back and you stay on this track. And where does this track lead you to? This track will lead you to your desires and what you want from life. Why? Because you're giving yourself grace, you're giving yourself compassion. There's a part of you somewhere in your unconscious mind that is pushing you towards that. And that in turn is going to affect how your reality plays out, right? But you have to do the work. You have to go into the unconscious mind and discover, what that driver is. You have to connect to your why. And you have to have love for yourself and love for what corn gave you at once in your life. Because relapse is information. It isn't failure. So you don't stop the behavior first, right? The first thing you stop is what the behavior is serving. What part of you is the behavior serving that you no longer need serving? Again, you don't put the fire on the 6th floor out by throwing water on the top floor, right? You have to discover what your unmet needs are, on top of having a strong why, on top of having love for self and love for what corn at one time gave you. When the unconscious is made conscious, you'll no longer need corn, because remember, your life and your relationship with it starts with you.